Hello, and welcome to the Earth Chats podcast. I'm your host, Sahara. I'm an activist, writer, speaker, and listener with a passion for creating change in our world. Join me and special guests weekly as we have inspiring conversations and reveal insightful knowledge, tips, and tricks on how you can live more mindfully on this planet. Tune in every Wednesday and make sure to hit subscribe to stay up to date with all the latest episodes. And now, without further ado, let's get on with the episode. As a special gift to our listeners, BMDM Digital has created a 52-page free social media training guide that will help you ignite your social media. You can download your free copy in the link below. Please welcome our very special guest, Rhian Berning. Rhian Berning is an incredible woman. She's so inspiring. She runs many different projects and initiatives in the area, including Atlas, which is an incredible search engine, eco-search engine to be correct, for finding all things eco-friendly, planet-friendly, mindful living in the Garden Route area. Welcome to Earth Chats. Thank you very much for coming on the show today. So, you are a very busy lady. And also, doing my research on you, I'm like, wow, you've done a lot of different things. So it'd be great if you could just start off, tell us a little bit about yourself and how it all began and what you've kind of been doing over the last couple of years.
So my name is Rhian and I grew up here on the Garden Route. And I had such a deep connection with nature because of where I grew up. I used to horse ride through the forest and swim in the sea a lot. We spent lots of weekends sleeping down on the sea. So my connection to nature was really strong. And I have now moved back here after studying and traveling and finding a husband to live here with my children and give them the same upbringing that I had, the same connection to nature. But in my time in studying and working in Cape Town, I focused a lot on environmental education and environmental science because I had that connection, I saw it as such an important link to what I could give to the world would be to reawaken that connection with nature. So I have done Nature Network in Cape Town, worked with SEED, which was environmental education on the Cape Flats, and now here back on the Garden Route, running Atlas and also Renewable Plet, which is now sprung into Renewable Neisner, and also running a regeneration project at the school my children go to, Raffaeli, that's regeneration at Raffaeli, and also mentoring women in grassroots projects, and also mentoring students who ask it of me. So I do Skype calls with students who are interested in anything environmental and social justice orientated.
Wow. Quite the array of things. That's fantastic, but it's so true because education is such a key part of all of this. And I can totally connect to your growing up and horse riding sounds exactly like my childhood. So it's definitely, I think we're very lucky to grow up in a place like this. So you're an environmental scientist, an educator, and an eco-entrepreneur with a Bachelor of Science from the University of Cape Town, as well as postgrad degrees in elementary education and teaching, both with distinctions. How has this impacted what you do today?
So I loved university. It was mind-opening. I loved that I could ask questions and discover new knowledge. But I think the most learning that I have had has actually been on the ground, learning through doing. So in setting up a nonprofit organization with Lee Brown, at the age of 23 in Cape Town in a little back dingy dark room, an observatory, under the umbrella of an old organization called Abalimi Bezekaya. It was just the two of us and my laptop, and we got funding from the Shuttleworth Foundation. We didn't know what we were doing, and we just jumped in the deep end, and then actually working in the Cape Flats, discovering which plants, indigenous plants, would be best to grow windbreaks for the food gardens, which vegetables and how to grow them would be best, and interacting with the teachers and the children. That's really where I learned, was learning through doing. And also doing nature network classes with young children, aged from 5 to 10. They were my teachers, experiencing their pure and innocent connection with nature. There's so much to learn from that. So I would say, although I really recommend, broadening your horizons by studying, it really is also learning through doing, which is what you are doing, which is so powerful. And in terms of how it has impacted me, I would say I call myself an environmentalist, but I actually read something today by Charles Eisenstein, and he said he would also call himself an environmentalist, but actually it's boxing ourselves too much. I like what he said. He's a lover of life, and that's how I feel too, because if we have that love for all life, whether it's praying mantis on the bush next to us, or a child that we does not have the same access to schooling that we do, whatever it is, it's that connection with all life, and the right to a good, healthy, and life full of well-being. So the studies that I did opened doors for me to become a connector of people, a collaborator, but I also like to catalyze action. So I like all those C words: connect, collaborate, and catalyze.
I like that. I like the C words. Also, if there's a pause in between here, we're busy passing my phone back and forth on the recorder. And I think 100% experience is everything. I mean, for me now, I'm finished with school, I'm 18, everybody's I'm almost 18, and everybody's so, what are you doing? Are you studying? Are you going to university? And I'm like, no, I don't really know what I want to study yet. I'm just kind of doing a bunch of stuff, and I just want to gain as much experience as I can before then making a decision on what to study. So I think definitely experience is a very good teacher. So you founded, directed, and managed many projects, including Nature Network, the Western Cape Eco Schools program, and SEED, all of which involved educating people and specifically children. How important is it that children receive knowledge on the planet and the role they play in the greater web of life from a young age? And what do you find is the best way to educate them and engage them in a topic and present it to them in a way that they can relate to?
So I really strongly feel that this is some of the greatest work of our time, is connecting children with nature. I think our civilization has gone down a trajectory where we have become disconnected from our food, from the web of life, from the part we play. We are just one part in this very complicated, complex, and interconnected web of life. We're just one strand, and yet we have begun to dominate and are disconnected through. Children are disconnected from the food that they eat. It comes from a supermarket wrapped in polystyrene and cling wrap. There's no connection to our food and to life that makes our life possible. So for me, this is the greatest work, this reconnection of children with nature. And so I don't think it's about imparting knowledge, but just giving them the space and the guidance and facilitating that they have this space to feel their connection. It's not something that you can learn or be taught. It's just being given that space and to explore it through all your senses, because children have this sense of wonder. So to allow it to be awakened, the sense of wonder for nature and the part we play in it. And I think if they then have this healthy connection with nature and living systems and all life, then whatever they become, whether they become a computer scientist who's inventing new systems of technology that are going to solve problems, at least they will have that connection and everything will be based on that. So that's why I think it's some of the greatest work. And in terms of how to do that with children, like I say, it's not about taking them with a clipboard and a pen and paper and getting them to mark off what they see, but it's touching it, feeling it, smelling it, really just immersing themselves in nature, discovering, lying on their back and looking at the clouds, looking for bugs in the grass, but to feel, yes, they're part in the web of life.
Yeah, for sure. I think, I was homeschooled. I had all the time in the world to just be outside playing mud cakes with my cousin and my sister and just, being, like you said, in nature. And it's not something that you can just teach somebody, like, care for nature, you really can't. And it's because I think, it's that feeling of loving life and loving nature is more than something that you can get from a textbook or a teacher or something like that.
So yes, just to add, because then people might think, but what about children who are growing up in a city? And I taught, but I facilitated, I guided nature network classes in a city. And it's incredible what you can find. You can have a tarmac playground with just one tree, and you will find incredible things. We found ladybirds' eggs with the little ladybird cocoons developing. Nature is at your fingertips. It's not something that you have to go to. It's about growing lettuce on a windowsill. It's just about connecting to the cycle of life.
That's beautiful. Lovely. So, EcoAtlas is one of your main current initiatives. Can you tell us a little bit about it and how it works?
Okay, so after I had my own children and I wasn't actively facilitating nature network classes, because I was facilitating my own children, babies and nappies and food and all of that. So I then came up with the concept of EcoAtlas, which is actually more about educating adults, because I felt like, yes, this connection with children is really important, and I do continue with my own children and other programs, but we kind of need to fast track this because things are getting a little bit out of control in terms of the ecological and climate crisis. So EcoAtlas is an online platform that empowers active citizens to vote with their daily choices by giving you information you need to find out who is actually doing good for people and planet. So restaurants that are serving local organic vegetables, upskilling their staff, recycling, or even better, going zero waste. Those are the restaurants we need to be supporting. So it allows you to find businesses and products to support and to go to based on the good that they're actually doing for people and planet. And that way we vote with our choices and we are empowered to create change on a daily basis.
No, as a consumer, you have, all the power to kind of make the choices and make your vote. But it's, a lot of the time you don't know who is actually, what's going on behind the scenes and who's actually doing something right for, like you said, the people on the planet. So it's definitely being able to have something like that is so helpful, such a helpful tool. I also actually just wanted to ask you a little bit then about your renewable plet, because those of you that have listened have probably heard my episode with Rob Hill from Renewable Neisner. Now, Renewable Neisner is an initiative that we kind of started branching off of Renewable Plet. So if you could just kind of talk about Renewable Plet a little bit and what it kind of stands for, and what we will then be working towards as Renewable Neisner.
So Renewable Plet is a campaign that incentivizes, supports and celebrates businesses that are reducing their waste to landfill and also creating local opportunities through circular economies, so turning waste into worth. And we are facing a waste crisis in South Africa. We're running out of landfill space, and we have become a throwaway society with a big focus on single-use items. So the whole idea is to refuse where you can and reduce your use of single-use items. And then obviously recycling is one element, but also very much reusing. And then the last R, for those who know all the R's, is to rot, which would be the organic matter. So also taking the organic matter out of the waste stream. So because landfills are completely, they have no purpose. You know, in nature there is no such thing as waste. So everything is cycled back into the nutrient cycle. And we've created this concept of waste. So what Renewable Plet does is that it recognizes and supports and incentivizes these businesses to drop single-use plastics like plastic bags, polystyrene takeaway containers, plastic straws, everything that's going into landfill but also landing up in the ocean and on the streets and affecting our living systems. And so we rather tell the good news stories of those who are doing all of these things and dropping all of these single-use items. And then we also encourage people to look at circular systems like separating out the kitchen waste and sending it to pig farms or chicken farms, or putting it in a bokashi bin, or looking at composting options, whatever it might be. And it's a campaign that allows a whole lot of different organizations to work together and collaborate, because I think collaboration is key.
Oh, it is so key, yes.
And we are facing some crises, and so if we don't collaborate, we're not going to make it out of this. So about bringing together, everyone's got their skills. So there's Keep Plet Clean, there's the Nature's Valley Trust. There are people working on the ground in different ways, but how can we all work together towards the same goals?
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, we get so used to kind of living in our own little worlds, doing our own little things, thinking our own thoughts, but like when you actually go out and you realize there's a lot of other people thinking the same as you, and that, you know, by collaborating we're so much more powerful as well, because we're all then standing with a similar message together. That's very, very, very cool. And I'm really excited that we can hopefully bring it to Knysna as well, because there's so many amazing things happening in Plet, and we need to create some of that on this side as well. So, Eco Atlas empowers and challenges people, companies, and businesses to make smarter and more conscious choices for the planet and for the people. And it does this in a way that appeals to people and society. Do you think that if a larger portion of the knowledge and information surrounding environmental issues was made more accessible to the everyday human, we would see positive change at a quicker rate?
I definitely think so. I think knowledge is power. And I think in this day of technology and the internet, that we have knowledge at our fingertips at any point. We can Google anything. Mm-hmm. You know, when I was growing up, there was no Google. And I see how dependent my children are on it, you know, to ask anything. Oh, just ask Google. So we have all this knowledge, and yet we don't know which knowledge to trust. Yeah. So we are also in a country where there's a lot of corruption and things that we don't know what to trust and what not to trust. So what I think is really important is transparent information that you can trust. So transparent information is very powerful. And then how we activate that through making informed choices. I think people are feeling a bit fearful, and either fearful or in denial about how our news feeds are streaming with all this negative news about climate change and ecological crises and waste and plastic, and then people start feeling a bit powerless. What can I do? So it's about having that transparent information so you can make informed and conscious choices, and then vote with the choices that you make every day. And every day we make small and different and better choices, and together all those choices added together becomes a mass movement, and we can create change from the ground up instead of having to wait for governments to put systems in place.
Yeah, I think, you know, it's so hard nowadays, like you said, with having information that you can trust, and then, you know, once you have that information, what do you do with that information? So it's, you know, learning to kind of, find the information, and by making it more accessible and, you know, transparent, like you said, then we can learn this information, and then, you know, it would be fantastic to have, you know, people that can kind of help you and guide you with the choices that you can make and the things that you can do. So having things like Eco Atlas and Renewable Plet and stuff is all like helping people with that, which is fantastic. I'm quickly interrupting this episode to bring you a little message from our amazing sponsors who've made this episode possible. I live in the beautiful town of Neisner in the Garden Route, and I want to invite everyone to visit this fantastic part of our country. We have everything: indigenous forests, nature reserves, awesome views, beautiful beaches, and natural wildlife. Come for a dream vacation. Oh, and I almost forgot. Neisner has some of the best restaurants you will find anywhere. Follow us on Instagram at @visitgardenroute, where we will introduce you to our fantastic and favorite people, places, and things to visit. This is us on Instagram at @visitgardenroute. And now, without further ado, let's get on with the rest of the episode. So let's change it up a bit and talk about your beautiful home, which has quite the story. In 2017, your home was burned to the ground in the raging fires that swept through the area. Can you tell us a bit on the whole experience and how you've now gone on to rebuild your home, but with the earth in mind?
So our home burnt down in the first round of fires in 2017, 3 months before the June fires that engulfed Neisner and Plet and devastated the area. And it was a very similar kind of firestorm, but on a smaller scale with these raging winds, and we only managed to evacuate just in time with our animals and my children, of course, and a few photo albums and my hard drive with more photos. Photos was my priority, so just a few sentimental items that we managed to get, but we lost everything. And it really is the most devastating feeling when you have lost your home. And there are so many of us now in the Neisner and Plet area who have experienced this. But why it is devastating and why people who haven't lost their home find it difficult to understand is because it's like having your whole world, your carpet pulled out from under your feet, because you really don't know where to be or what to do. So you go to quite a dark place. And as a family we did, but we started to see ourselves more as kind of seeds underground and learned from the fynbos, because fynbos needs to burn to regenerate and to germinate. So once we had mourned and kind of risen out of that very dark place, we had to start seeing this as a clean and blank and very black slate. Our home was obviously all black and burnt, but the fynbos all around us was just like this black moon landscape. So to see that as a clean slate to start from, and as an environmentalist, I wanted to see it as a chance to do things differently. So although we had lived with rainwater, and very simply I wanted to see how we could do better and learn from the experience. But of course there was a time limit because I had to put a roof over my children's heads, so it was all quite rushed. And it was very interesting that there wasn't as much information on green building as I would have thought. So a lot of research was involved, and it was a very exciting and creative project. And one of the big things again was waste. There's when your home burns down, it's just a mountain of rubble and you don't know where to start. And I didn't for months. I just left this mountain of rubble, but slowly we started sorting it, and separating is so important. So we took out all the broken porcelain to use for mosaicing. We separated out all the metal to be recycled. We took all the glass to be recycled, and then we started cleaning up the bricks so that we could reuse those in the building. So to instead of seeing waste as something to just be thrown away, but where are the opportunities? We took burnt trees. There was an incredible, beautiful milkwood that burnt behind our house and didn't come back to life. Some did, which was amazing, but this one didn't come back to life. So we actually used that as a feature in our home with balustrades and toilet roll holders and towel holders and all sorts of things. So to see the opportunities and learn from nature, because nature is not a line in the sand, this dead end, which it felt like. It's cyclical, so where can the new growth come from? So now our home is completely off-grid. We're on solar power, rainwater. We recycle all our water back into the growing of food, and we are incredibly grateful. We have bounced back just like the fynbos and the forest has around us.
Wow, it's such an amazing story. And actually, last year, during the Green Pop Eden Festival of Action, we had a tour of your house and your property, and it is beautiful. Like, you used all the old burnt bricks as well in a wall, and I remember seeing there's like the tree in the wall as well. It's a beautiful house, you guys. It's really beautiful. And you also have like a lot like of permaculture and stuff in terms of regenerating the land and doing all that kind of stuff. So it's really it's amazing to see, and I think it's so incredible and it's such an important lesson to take in anywhere in life, is that, you know, if things crumble, burn to the ground, like, it's not the end, you know, you can actually come back stronger. And this is actually what led you to start your blog, Stronger, Greener, Better. Can you tell us a bit about this and what inspired you to share your journey?
Well, especially when the June fires came, and there were all these people who had now lost their homes, and I was 3 months ahead of everybody. I saw this as such an opportunity to share our journey in what we had learnt, and how we were using these resources that others would see as rubbish, and how we could really minimize our impact on the earth by going off grid and seeing, you know, how we could build differently. One of the biggest lessons I learned was from a green architect who said it's not only about how you build, but it's about the long-term maintenance of your home. So if you build a home that then needs to be painted every few years, or you needs a lot of maintenance and upkeep, that has a toll on the earth. So we also looked at the long-term maintenance, which is why we didn't paint the outside of our house. And so we just bag washed it. And so the blog was about sharing the journey. A lot of poetry also came after the fire. It's interesting how fire seems to crack you open with all this creativity that comes out. So it was also a way of me processing what had happened. So I shared poetry, and also, yes, the journey with regrowing the vegetable garden, the permaculture, the incredible way that the community held us, sharing the stories of what we learnt. And so it continues, because there are fires all around the world. And not only that, we need to learn to not only if our house has been burnt, but to live in a regenerative way.
Yes, for sure. And I think, yeah, just being able to share an experience that, you know, like somebody else whose home maybe has been lost, they will be able to relate so closely to your experience, because, you know, it's like, I mean, we personally didn't lose our home in the fires, but it came very, very close, and it's been 3 times that it's happened, very, very close. And every time we've just been so grateful that, you know, everything's been fine. We haven't lost our homes, but I mean, I've had very close friends who have lost their homes, and it's a very weird experience that suddenly everything's completely gone. And like the most random thing, like I remember my friend is like, oh, I was gonna wear this shirt, but I realized that I don't have it anymore. And it's, you know, it's like those weird little things. Like, I think people often think like, oh wow, your house, but like then when you actually think about all those little things, it's like, or like that book that you wanted to read, or, you know. So I think sharing an experience like that, and then also the lessons and the knowledge that you gained, is beautiful and so inspiring. Right, so we're gonna wrap up soon. Are you ready for a little quick fire round of questions? And we're gonna try and answer like quickly, but it's not easy. So what does the typical day in the life of Rhian Berning look like?
So I have to admit, I'm not a morning person. So I do struggle to get out of bed in the morning. But when I do, my focus is, of course, on my children and getting them healthy lunches packed for school and getting them off to school, calm and centered. And once that's happened, then I like to go into my vegetable garden. When the dew's still there, it's still all a bit sparkly and fresh, and pick some greenery to make a green juice. I don't always do that, but that's my ideal day. And then, yes, it's off to my computer to connect and collaborate and catalyze. It's either at my computer looking at the regrown milkwood tree out my window, or in meetings such as this. And then my afternoon I dedicate again to my children, to whatever they are doing. And the evening ends with a walk through the fynbos with my dogs and my children, if they'll come. They used to when they were little. I have to convince them these days. And then back into the vegetable garden to pick whatever's growing for a healthy supper. And then some family time before bed.
Sounds like a lovely, well-rounded day. We also, every evening, we take our goats for a walk around the property. Also, with all the dogs and the goats, and I live on a property with my whole family, so I pass my grandparents walking this way, then you pass my aunt, and it's just like little traffic on the road in the evenings.
Community.
Yes. So what is one of the biggest lessons that you've learned, and it doesn't have to be career related?
So I would say that fire was my biggest lesson. And it was about our attachment to material possessions. I was a very sentimental person, but also because I knew the story from each item. It was a wedding present, or it was from my grandmother, or it was from some person that gave it to me on my travel. So when I picked it up, it took me to that place or to that person. And so to lose that history and all that story was really hard. But they are just things. And so we are so attached to our material possessions. And what I learned was that it's not about that. What is most important, love doesn't burn, and your family is not as much as you would like it to be in a home. Your family is not your home. Your family is the love and the connection you have, and you will have that wherever you are. But at the same time, we all do need a home and a habitat, and there are many people in South Africa who don't have homes, resilient to fire and resilient to climate change. There are also many creatures, animals, insects that are losing their homes due to destruction for agriculture and palm oil or whatever it might be. So to also recognize that we all have the right and deserve a good home.
Yes, it's true. We do. Sometimes we put more value to a materialistic thing than to something that is actually in the end more meaningful. I think definitely having an experience like that will put you in touch with those kinds of things. And I think slowly people are realizing that, it might not be the things that you got or the things that you have, but it's, the relationships that you have and the experiences that you've had. So I think make sure you have lots of good experiences and good relationships.
Yes.
On the top of your head, what are 3 things you're grateful for in this moment?
So I am grateful for the clean air and clean water and access to forest and ocean that we have here on the garden route. I am grateful for the youth that are taking action, like you, who are investigating and asking questions and catalyzing and marching on the streets. I'm very grateful for that. And I am also grateful. What is the third thing that I'm grateful for? I'm grateful that I'm able to do the work that I'm passionate about. I think I'm very lucky because many people do work that they don't feel connected to, but I can put my heart and soul into my work and feel like I am making a positive contribution.
Lovely. So, if we had one day to save the planet, what 3 things would we need to do?
I think the number one priority is reconnect with nature. We are nature. It's not something separate to us. So to reconnect the disconnect that we have. Because if we have that connection, if we feel that connection, if we are conscious of our place in the web of life and we have a love and empathy for all life and all living systems and all living creatures, then every decision we make will be based on that. We will not be able to continue the path of destruction that we are on at the moment. So reconnect is number one for me. And then look at renew and renewable, so circular economies, so seeing life and economies as more circular, that whatever we do must have a purpose and go back into the system. There should be no such concept as waste on any level. And the third thing would be to regenerate. We have had a major impact on species, both animal and plant. And so we need to work at regenerating through regenerative agriculture that is pesticide-free and insecticide-free and no-till, so not disturbing the soil and the microbes in the soil. So healthy soil is so important. So how can we regenerate but also protect biodiversity? Biodiversity is the key to life on this planet, and so anything that is negatively affecting biodiversity is problematic. So biodiversity, restore and regenerate is key.
Lovely. I think we've got, is that 3 R's that we have? Yes. Reconnect, renew, and regenerate. Love it. Right. Last question, or almost our last question. What piece of advice or actionable step can you give our listeners, I said readers almost because I'm so used to doing blog posts, give to our listeners to help them reduce their impacts on the planet?
We need to think circular. So whatever you do and whatever you buy, you need to think, where has it come from and where is it going to go once it's left your hands? Because there is, as I've said, no such thing as away or throwaway. And there are all kinds of people and living systems that are impacted in the production of the things that we use and the way that we live. So the water, the air, the products that we use, where do they come from and where are they going? So thinking circular and then applying that to all our everyday choices. If we can do that, I think we can really live more in harmony and in a balanced way within this incredible rare gift of life on this little blue planet in the middle of a universe where we don't even know if there's any other life. So yes.
Yes, I think, even if you look at nature, it's one big circle. So really, why are we working in a straight line? We need to be going circular. Right. To finish off, how can people find and connect with you and the work that you do?
So yes, I love to connect, and I love to connect with people and then connect people with people who will help them along their path of what they want to achieve. So you can connect with me on Instagram. It's eco_atlas, and on Facebook, also eco-atlas, and those are the two that I'm most active on. Or go to www.ecoatlas.co.za. We've got a beautiful, brand new, renovated website that's coming in March, in the next month. So and there's going to be all kinds of ways to interact and get involved and pay it forward on there. But of course, all the information to allow you to vote with your choices. So you can find places, recommend places, review places. So I'm very excited about that. So but go to www.ecoatlas.co.za. That's the hub to go to.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time and for answering all our questions. I really enjoy doing these podcasts because it's just so nice to talk to people who are just on the same wavelength. You can just talk about these things and you're not looked at like you're really kind of strange and out there. Everybody's like, are you a hippie? Why do you care about nature so much? I'm like, no, you don't have to be a hippie to care about nature. It's just but anyway.
It's a way
of life. Thank you. Yes, it's a way of life. Have you taken the Plastic Pledge yet? I have. The Plastic Pledge is an awareness initiative with the aim of fighting the scourge of plastic pollution. If we know better, we can do better. And the most important thing that all of us can do as a community is to create awareness. Find the link to the Plastic Pledge below. Enjoying the show? Then please support us so that we can continue making awesome episodes just for you. A minimum donation of 100 Rand will get you or your business listed on the Earth Chats page as a sponsor with a link to you or your business. Please visit the link below to make your contribution. Thank you for tuning in to the Earth Chats podcast and supporting the show. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you feel someone else could maybe benefit from hearing this conscious conversation, please do give it a share. And that's it for now, guys. I'll see you next week.